me finish my pizza, sorry. So. In the oven. I'm good. Thank you. How was it in the back today?
I'm like reading through the rules. It's like, don't touch the children, for this one. And I'm like, there's like 3 that just will go boneless. And I'm like, well, I'm being gentle. I am being gentle.
It's the spirit of it.
I hope it's visible to the security cameras because I don't want to rely.
No, I'm looming. I think I'm gonna grab a slice for myself. Nope.
Never threaten pounds. Always spirit of the law is so funny. All right. We are going to get started here in a minute. If everyone's getting their food, feel free to help yourself to more. If you haven't already got one, Wyatt's walking around with, he's not, the policies. He's got pizza instead. Oh. Thank you, Rachel. Oh, yeah. Our intention is to keep this just under or around an hour and be done at 1:30. I know a lot of you guys have kids. We are also recording this as well, so if you need to leave early for any reason, I'll be sending that out Wednesday, midweek. Hopefully we'll have the recording out. So, how's it going? But I'll go ahead and get started with welcoming everybody. Thank you so much for being here this afternoon. I know it's a little bit of a difficult time, but it's a great opportunity to practice what we just heard in the sermon with loving one another. And we appreciate everything that you guys do to love on the kids and to love the parents in this church. It's very encouraging, and we're very grateful for the sacrifice that it is to either show up early on a Sunday morning or miss service or, deal with the general chaos that is children's ministry. So thank you all. Sorry, I get out of breath from moving, so I'm still catching my breath. Yeah. Let's get, do you have?
Sorry, guys. We have a really cool slideshow, okay?
It's
almost ready.
It's a very basic slideshow. Everyone got a policy? And we will have a QR code up on the screen at the end if you haven't had a chance to review and sign it. And then I think Aaron added a page at the end if you wanted to physically sign it and then hand it in. I'm going to go ahead and get us started by reading our ministry purpose. For our church, it's creating a covenant community that worships Christ above all. And then for children's ministry, it's QBC Kids ministry exists to partner with parents and the church in order to build a solid, lifelong spiritual foundation for the precious little ones in our care. And so we've been working, Aaron and I, among with the elders, and actually a lot of you have given contributions to this, reworking the policies and procedures in the last couple months, just to bring everything up to date. As a lot of you noticed when you read and signed it, that there are still inconsistencies and gaps that we're looking to resolve. Thank you for everyone who responded with questions and feedback. That's been greatly appreciated. This is a work in progress, just as the kids ministry is a work in progress. But hopefully this morning will be an opportunity to go through it and take some questions. And yeah, we have a section for questions as we go. So we will pause periodically for questions. It's not all at the end.
Cool. Nice. With me?
No, I think it's still me.
Still you.
All right. So our first section, we're just going to go page by page through the policy. We're starting with volunteer requirements. We have modified it as requirements for adult volunteers and then requirements for our youth helpers or minor volunteers. So the first one is a faithful member at QBC, and then a completion of the QBC volunteer application, which is upcoming. That'll be a part of the onboarding process moving forward. None of you have to go back and fill out any application or do any sort of interview process, but that is something that we will begin implementing moving forward. A background check, which is renewed every 5 years. A ministry-safe sexual abuse awareness training, which I think Corinne, thank you for pointing out, is every 5 years. We've decided to keep it the same as the background check, just to, eliminate confusion and keep things consistent. And then an interview before the Volunteers for Sunday, again, an upcoming onboarding step. Another requirement is show unconditional love and acceptance to each child and his or her family. Be an example of Christ's love in your words and actions. Be spiritually prepared by spending time in regular Bible study and prayer, preparing each week's lesson, being on time, 9 a.m. arrival for the 9:15, and 10:15 arrival for the 10:30. Attending required QBC trainings offered throughout the year, like this one. Our goal is to make this an every 6 month or twice a year process. And then the requirements for our youth helpers is generally the same, with the exception of, or the addition of, parental endorsement. And the youth helper application and interview will also look substantially different for our young people.
Cool. Yes, I want to just reiterate, thank you for being here. We know that your time is valuable. After Sunday afternoon, or after service afternoons is tough for all of us. But I want you guys to view this, like Sarah was saying, as kind of like, in college, where your first class is just like reviewing the syllabus. That's kind of what we're doing here. We think that these changes are important enough and substantial enough that we want you to review them and then take this time to go through them again and clarify questions, all with the purpose, again, of keeping our children safe and making sure that Sunday mornings run as smoothly as possible. So with that, we're now going to look at our general safety policies, and the first subsection of that is check-in and check-out safety. So we're going to talk in a few minutes about the actual process of check-in and check-out, but we're thinking first about safety principles to make sure that happens safely. Okay, so starting with that, we're going to have 2 preschool workers must be present to receive children. Again, this is why it's so important that if you're scheduled to serve, that you show up by 9 o'clock. Because we have families who will bring kids that early, and if we don't have both volunteers present, we can't take the kids. And we have to tell the parents, like, hey, your kid can't come in here yet. And that's kind of embarrassing. We don't want to do that. But again, we feel that it's important enough to maintain these ratios for safety's sake that we're willing to say, I'm sorry, we can't take your kids. So please make an effort, if you're not already, to show up 15 minutes early so we can receive those kids. Preschool doors should remain closed or gated for the protection of all children in the room. Volunteers must always be aware of the people in the preschool area. You guys can maybe give me feedback on this. I think this has been better since installing the gate. So on the gate, we have a sign, you probably have seen it, it says workers and children only. So we don't want to have anybody back behind that gate who shouldn't be there. But of course, we recognize, there's bathrooms right there. So just as volunteers, just be on the lookout. If you see somebody who doesn't need to be back there and you're concerned, that's a great chance to speak with the safety team. Each of our rooms on both sides are equipped with a walkie-talkie. If you haven't seen those, I can point them out to you next Sunday, but we have a walkie-talkie. It's always on, and it's turned to the same station that our safety team has. So if you ever see something concerning, you can grab that walkie-talkie, press the button, and be in contact with the safety team member who can go back there and talk to that person. Okay. Along with that, parents must present the security tag to the workers in order to receive their child. The child cannot be released from the classroom without being checked out. If a tag has been lost, parent verification will be required. I think, guys, this is one of those changes that maybe feels a bit weird or unnecessary. In some ways, we're still a small church, right? Like, we all kind of know each other. We know whose kid goes with who. But at the same time, our church is growing. And so we need to enforce this more. And so we are we're telling you, you cannot you cannot release a child without a parent having a security tag. You probably know that person, you know it's their kid, but we need to maintain that policy across the board for the safety and the health of the ministry. Now, if a parent does not have their safety or the security tag, that happens sometimes, we are going to ask that that parent present some kind of identification. That could be like a driver's license, something to show us their name. And again, this is going to feel really weird because you know that person and you're asking for their driver's license, but we need to do that. So if they don't have the alpha tag to retrieve their child, we need to ask for some kind of verification to make sure that the parent matches with the children. And just to put some legs on this, there could be an instance where, like let's say in the future, there's a single mom, she brings her kids to check them in, and maybe her ex-husband shows up, and he's not supposed to be there, right? If he's saying like, well, hey, like these are my kids, they're my kids, we just need to be thinking about these things and having the right process to avoid any situation like that. Okay, volunteer ratios. I think this is still me, right, Sarah? Yes. Hey. Well, that's a good question. Her question was, let's say, ex-dad shows up and he has the same last name as the kid. Well, we want to be checking that against the person who checked them in. So that's an important thing. So if there's no alpha tag, you want to go on the iPad. And another thing, guys, with the iPads, we know that's still kind of new. We're in the process of writing out like step-by-step instructions for like logging in, troubleshooting. We realize that's been kind of a new frustrating thing. We're working on that. But in the iPad, when you're checking somebody out, you should be able to see who the person was that checked them in. So if it was mom who checked them in, mom shows up, she forgets her tag, make sure that mom's ID matches. But we can't release them to somebody else. Yeah. Yes? Yeah, if they have the security tag. Yeah, so if they've been entrusted with the security tag, mom says, hey, help me out, go get your sibling. As long as they have that tag, that's okay. If they don't have that tag, you can't release the child to them. Yes? Yeah, I don't know if you want to speak to this. I think so long as they have the tag. Again, like there's a point with which we have to just trust the system, right? Like, could an ex-husband kind of sneak in and like pull the tag off his, ex-wife's jacket? Maybe. But if the tag is present, we're okay releasing a child based on that. So that, if a parent is scanning the tag and then you can see on the iPad, actually, this might be something I need to know because I haven't been back there for checkout yet. So my understanding is you press the camera icon, right? And then the alpha tag is scanned. Is there a way that you guys as volunteers see that?
No. Just eyes.
Nope, there's no visibility of that at all.
Okay. This is why we're having this meeting, guys. We need to know this stuff. I think that there might be a way. We should look into that.
We had talked about getting a grocery store scanner with some sort of system.
Like a barcode?
Yes, and then we're still that's a working process.
And then the volunteer can look at the other screen, verify it matches.
My dream is like one of those flashing airport signs or like a broadcasting system, but
Yes. Yes.
The tag is the key.
Yes. The only time where you would have to show ID is if you lost the tag, and it has to be the person who checked them in. Yes. That's right. Yes.
No child.
Sounds like a chant, like we're picketing something. No tag, no child.
They become a ward of the state.
I mean, I can't imagine that would happen. Parents are going to have.
That would be a great time to loop in the security team and or someone in leadership, just to escalate it up.
Yeah. So if in the crazy odd chance that were to happen, you could contact a safety team member or a pastor, and we can consult and figure out so the child doesn't have to stay at the church. Okay. Like I said, guys, we are going to have a section in a few minutes on the kind of nuts and bolts of this. We're just thinking about safety right now. Anything else, though, on check-in, check-out safety? Okay. We will keep you guys posted, too. I love the idea of a volunteer being able to see to make sure, the scan, because it kind of defeats the purpose if we're just taking their word for it. You can't see the screen to make sure it's the same. So that's helpful. All right, volunteer ratios. Moving on to the next section here. Did you have something?
Yes, and on that, several of you, Hillary specifically, have mentioned having someone there as a designated check-in and check-out person. So obviously that would also eliminate that issue if someone were physically there facilitating check-in and check-out. That's currently mainly a staffing issue of like what does that look like to have just an extra position manning the check-in and check-out, but that is also an option that we're exploring. Volunteer ratios. 2 or more workers must be present with the children at all times, with at least one being an adult over 18 years of age. Youth helpers may serve as a preschool worker with the approval of the ministry team. Youth helpers may only serve as the third person in the room, which I know sounds confusing, but this is more as the goal, like of the. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it is worded a bit weird. What we're saying is, in order to open and run a room, we have to have 2 adults, 2 adult volunteers, one of them being a female. A youth helper is considered a third person in that ratio. But the confusing thing is when it says 2 or more preschool workers must be with the preschoolers at all times, with at least one being an adult, that's envisioning a scenario where, like, let's say, another volunteer, like an adult volunteer has to step out, or maybe they were to join and take a child to a bathroom with somebody like across the hall. I think we've had times before where we would have a volunteer do that. Or if like a volunteer needs to go find a parent. Maybe it's the 9:15, we're trying to have parents help their kids go to the bathroom if they're not in diapers. And so let's say you're texting that parent, they're not coming, and the kid needs to go to the bathroom. Well, you can send one of those adults, or even the youth helper for that matter, out to find the parent, maybe in the discipleship class. What we're saying is, like, for safety's sake, we need to have 2 people in the room in order to maintain that ratio. One of those needs to be an adult, one can be youth. But in order for the room to run and just be open in general, we have to have 2 adults and 1 youth. Does that make sense?
Maybe the better wording is no one-on-one helper with child at any time, with the youth being more of a temporary placement than an ideal. Yeah. The ratios for babies 1 and 2 is 1 adult to 3 kids, 3 to pre-K or 4-year-olds, 1 to 4, and then same for K through 5th. Now, to clarify, we need 2 adults at all times to open a room and maintain. The ratios have to do with further staffing in addition to the base 2 adults. So you can have 2 adults and 2 kids. That's fine. If there's 2 adults and 6 babies and a 7th baby shows up, that would be a text to either me or radio on the walkie-talkie to the security team to have someone come in as a temporary spot, or even asking the parent A little bit of a bummer that the last one there gets the tap on the shoulder, but
Maybe just to clarify, we've talked about this a little bit. Are we saying with this that, like, let's say we have 2 adults and there's 7 babies? Are you saying that we can't keep the room open, or it's more of an ideal and we should look for more help?
well, yeah, so and the youth helper counts as a third person in that scenario. So if you have, given our current staffing, we really shouldn't ever run into a position where we need to pull more people in. I guess this scenario would involve someone not being there. So say babies and toddlers, there's usually 3 adults and 2 youth helpers. If one adult doesn't show up that morning, no youth helpers are there. Obviously, at that point, we're usually probably pretty aware that we need more staffing, but it can function with that amount of people until a certain level of kid to adult is reached, and then it would become like the kid needs to hang out with their parent until we have resolved the staffing issue, or yeah.
Yes. Which again is just another plug to please come on time. And if you're running late or you can't make it, please find a sub and let us know. Let Sarah know that you have somebody else coming in your place, because we just can't open the room if we don't have enough people. Yeah?
So I understand those ratios are based off of if there's a fire in the building, right?
Yeah, I think that's where they come from. Mm-hmm. We still have one. It's in the nursing mothers. I actually was playing with this a couple months ago. It's incredibly difficult to get the crib through the door, and all the doors have gates, so they don't technically fit. So that's not a great rolling crib. I think is not a realistic option with the gates on the doors. So we'll get to evacuation a little bit later, but we are still figuring out. Rolling crib is technically there. Good luck getting it through a gate. Yeah, but yeah, there are multiple doors. Also, walkie-talkies would probably be the better solution. And when it comes to the security team, they go through the same ministry safe training and background checks as you guys. They are available for temporary help. Obviously, that's not their main job, and so we want to, not use that as a crutch. But in the event of a situation, the security team is an option as a floater or a temporary.
Yeah, and by that we just mean like they can kind of poke their head into the room to make sure that there's 2 adult set of eyes in there temporarily.
Roles and responsibilities. This is, as of this week, posted in the baby room, but it'll get added to every room. 9:15 hour QBC Kids, which is the K through 5th. The teacher facilitates the classes and is responsible for the teaching and leadership. There's also an adult helper who assists the teacher, helps maintain order and respectfulness. And then on the other side of the hallway, we've got the preschool team with an adult female volunteer. And we'll go over this in bathroom safety, but the female volunteer is always the one for any diaper changes or toileting situations. Another adult volunteer, sometimes that's a gal, sometimes it's a guy, and then a youth floater. We added this just to help with the initial check-in process. There was 2 months where the discipleship class had like a crazy amount of families, and so our 9:15 hour had like 8 kids. So that youth helper is just kind of to, add in an extra body if needed. They're not required to be back there. If there's 2 kids, feel free. You can have them stay, or they can return to the discipleship class, whatever works. And then 10:30 hour preschool, we've got the babies, adult volunteer, again, responsible for diaper changes. Babies adult volunteer could be either. Babies adult volunteer also either. Facilitating a fun and safe environment. We are looking in the future to maybe add some sort of structure to our toddler class. That's very much a work in progress, but that is one of the goals. We'll keep you updated with that. And then again, the youth helper. We envision the youth helper being really the like moving component to maintain the adult ratios in the room. If you've got a kid, not feeling well and you need a parent ASAP, the youth helper is very much who we would ask that you send to go find a parent instead of one of the adults. And then the preschool team across the hall, you've got the teacher facilitating the class, responsible for teaching and leadership, and responsible for the bathroom policy. And then the adult helper, assisting the teacher, assisting in the bathroom usage if the adult helper is the lady and the teacher is the male. And then the youth helper, again, basically the same as the other side.
Yep, and our goal with this too is to have all of these roles and responsibilities posted on the walls in the classroom. So if you show up and you're like, what do I do? You can look at that. We also want to have some kind of schedule in those rooms as well to help you if you're the teacher, to guide the time, to make sure that we're hitting all the things we want to hit. So that will be a little bit easier going forward. All right, moving from there into, yes.
I think it's assumed that they stay unless told otherwise. And that's kind of been up to.
Are you asking, though, if the adults should encourage them or give them the option to? Giving that permission. Yeah, I don't know if there's like one adult that we would say should be the one to say, hey, youth, we don't need you, thanks. I think you guys can kind of feel that out. I guess youth who are here just know that if there's enough people in the room, you don't have to stay, but you can. Yeah, I think we would just leave that with you as volunteers to do that, but youth can have permission to leave just during that 9:15. Yeah, Abrina?
That's kind of been the case due to like the ages. There's just been a lot more of the toddlers than the babies. So we've had movement across because usually it's like one toddler volunteer and there'll be like 5 or 6 toddlers and one baby. And so in that case, you need that door open in order to keep the adult ratios fine. Yeah, that's something that kind of changes with the seasons as you get kids moving up and down. Not down. They're not going down.
Benjamin Buttons.
Moving up through the classroom stages. Yeah, I think as we consider what the toddler structure looks like, we'll have more clarity with that. But right now, the priority is very much maintaining adult to kid ratios. However that looks.
I just noticed that, say you're in the baby room and everyone's just kind of flowing, there might be only one volunteer in the baby room and it's not always nice and calm. Like you can't see the other volunteer. So that just might be like a safety thing.
And if there's the separation between the rooms, that half door definitely should be.
Are you saying like they might be like around the corner? They might be like rocking a baby and you can't see them? Okay. Yeah, we do need to make sure if as you guys as volunteers, if you want to have that flow between the rooms, like she was saying for ratio's sake, that's great, but we do need to have that line of sight. So, yeah.
And youth helpers count in that. So as long as there's, for the staffing back there, it's 3 adults and 2 youth. So between 5 people, 2 people in a room. Yeah.
Yes.
During the 9:15 hour, you don't have 3 people all the time. Helpers not there, so if the female helper
Are you saying they can see the person changing the diaper? It's just their back?
No, but you're saying everybody has to have, all the adults have to have line of sight, right, with all the kids. But if the person who's changing the diaper, their back is to the other room. So you can't see
Oh, the person changing can't see.
I mean, wouldn't the
other
only way to see would be to like walk right up next to them like this?
No, 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 no,
Is that
no,
what you're
no,
saying?
no, no.
Am I misunderstanding?
The person who's changing is not paying attention to the people behind them.
Oh, I see. Not for the person changing, but like for them to be able to. Oh, I see. I think I see.
Yeah.
Yes, right. You're saying if there's not a youth helper, there's like, yeah. Yeah. This is where, and you're over there in the baby room. I think this
I
is
guess
just.
you could just corral everyone into the same room and
I mean,
bribe them with something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
just no. That'd be so nice, wouldn't it? Wyatt.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So in that situation, I think we're just gonna have to use some common sense. There's gonna be like little situations like that. So I mean, you can be in the same room if you need to. Yeah, we understand it's not perfect. Okay. Moving on to classroom safety, we're gonna go pretty quickly through the next couple of points. There's a section later on that we'll take a bit more time with, and then we'll wrap up. So thank you for your time. By the way, if you need to leave right at 1:30, you are welcome to do that. We're going to keep going. We're going to try to keep it as close to 1:30 as we can. If we need to go past that, if you are able to stay, that'd be great. If you need to leave, that's okay. We're going to have the remaining minutes recorded that you can watch at a later time. But let's keep going. So as we think about classroom safety, preamble here is child abuse is becoming an epidemic in our country, and our ministries are not immune to these problems. So to protect the children and the integrity of preschool volunteers, the following protocols are strictly followed. Now, this is stuff you're familiar with. Before serving in preschool ministry, all volunteers will complete a mandatory background check, which will be renewed every 5 years. Same thing with Ministry Safe, which you've all been through, training which is renewed every 5 years. Volunteers will never deal with children alone or in an isolated setting. Clear line of sight with other volunteers will always be maintained. Members of the same immediate family can only serve together if one additional adult is also present in the room. So I love when I see like parents and like a youth helper serving together. That's great. You just can't be alone like that. There has to be another non-family member serving in the room. Does that make sense? I think that's been the case so far. In terms of playground safety, the 3 to 5-year-olds will often use the playground if they are supervised. At least 2 adults must accompany children to the playground and stand close to the playground equipment at all times. Do not take the children to the playground if it's cold or wet outside, obvious. As it's slippery, have them wear jackets. Be sure to return to class at least 15 minutes before the end of the service time so parents can pick up their kids from the classroom. Okay.
All right. And then physical contact and communication. We acknowledge that no single system can plan for every possible situation or contingency, but we endeavor in this policy to provide clear expectations that will serve well the minors of this church and those staff members and volunteers tasked with caring for them. This document is subject to ongoing revision based upon continued experience, training, and awareness of best practice in order to ensure the safety of all those involved. Abuse and inappropriate behavior of any type will not be tolerated. It is the responsibility of all staff members and volunteers to act in the best interest of all minors in every program. Any staff member or volunteer who witnesses or suspects inappropriate behavior, grooming behavior, or abuse and neglect must report that concern as soon as possible. And we'll have a section later on called Making a Report.
I don't know if we've mentioned this. When you see QBC leadership, right now that means Sarah or one of the pastors. So elders and pastors, same thing. Yeah. Okay.
All right. All physical contact must be at the shoulders or above for the benefit of the minor, never for the emotional needs of the adult. Appropriate physical contact includes high fives, side hugs, or pat on the shoulder. Contact should never be forced. Sitting on laps and holding is generally discouraged for ages 2 and above. If a child 2 and above tries to sit on your lap, please kindly direct him or her to sit in the seat next to you or on the floor beside you. Special exceptions can be made for those children with special needs as requested by a parent and approved by leadership. No. All physical contact must be in a public or observable place. Please avoid contact with a minor when there are no witnesses. Only touch children in safe areas and at brief times. Safe areas generally include hands, arms, shoulders, upper back, or gentle pats to the top of the child's head. Never touch a child anywhere on or anywhere near a region considered private or personal on any part of their body that a swimsuit covers unless changing diapers or assisting children with the potty. Again, adult volunteers only. Never touch a child out of frustration or anger. Physical discipline is not an appropriate means of correcting someone else's child, and we'll talk about that more in the discipline section. All staff and volunteers are responsible for protecting minors from unwanted contact from others. This includes unwanted contact from other adults or minors. No physical contact should be sexual in nature. Inappropriate physical contact is forbidden and will result in immediate reporting to leadership and proper legal authorities if needed. In the event that a potentially inappropriate physical contact is initiated by a minor towards an adult or a minor towards another minor, the adult who observed this behavior must report their observations immediately to QBC leadership.
Can I just jump in here real quick? I just wanted to clarify. I realize it really stinks that we have to talk about this stuff and be so specific with these things. I do just want to say nothing has happened. The reason why we're putting these policies in place is actually to prevent these things from happening, to give us a greater awareness to keep our children safe. So thank you for being willing to read through this, to go through Ministry Safe. I know it's hard, but it's incredibly important in order to keep our children safe. Yeah, real quick, Jeannie. Well, yeah. Do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I think the goal of this is, not to be so stringent that we're not providing care, but to provide a guideline that we are aiming to follow. There's always going to be exceptions in situations where, a kid bumps their head and needs, a little bit more effort. But generally, this is the spirit of the law that we're looking to follow.
Yeah. So, let's say 3-year-old falls, cracks their head, right? They want you to pick them up. I think in a situation like that, like Sarah's saying, I think it would be okay to hold them like this, right? But what we're trying to say is, in general, we are wanting to make sure that volunteers are not seeking that out. Hey, I'm gonna pick up this child, I'm gonna place them on my lap. What we're saying is as is necessary. If it's something like that, that can be okay at times. But we want to discourage, a volunteer going out of their way in order to initiate that kind of picking up, putting on the lap. We also, like Sarah's saying, we don't want you guys to feel like you're under a microscope and that other volunteers are looking out to make sure that you're, doing the right things. You're not going to get in trouble. So this is not the kind of thing where if I saw Jeannie picking up a child, it's going to be hey, that's wrong. I need to report you. We don't want to do that. We do want to be on the lookout for anything suspicious, anything out of the ordinary. But we do have to provide some kind of guideline for what we think is appropriate physical contact in the classrooms. What?
Maybe why she asked that as the first sentence of this section says all physical contact must be with the shoulder above and for the benefit of the minor. So it's kind of saying it's both and at all times. There's no unless strictly for the physical safety of the minor or something like that. So I don't know. I'm just thinking.
Sure.
Maybe and or unless it's for.
And we can put a clause maybe of exceptions.
Yeah, that's a good point, Wyatt.
Exceptions may occur. Because again, if the building's burning down, pick up a kid and go.
Yeah.
We're not trying to. I think when we were looking to put this, pen to paper, the goal was to how can we put up a fence around our children and our volunteers that is going to create a safe environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you just have to draw the line somewhere. But I think we can clarify that bullet point specifically. That's good. All right, we should keep going.
Okay. Communication. This is also including our youth helpers. So when you consider texting, social media, this is where this comes into play. All verbal and written communication must be edifying to the minor with the purpose of building them up in Christ. Any communication with a minor in electronic form must be witnessed by the minor's guardian or another staff member or volunteer, such as a group message. Any communication with a minor through social media should follow the above guidelines. It is never appropriate to share immoral or sexual communication with a minor. Inappropriate communication is forbidden and will result in immediate dismissal and reporting to the QBC leadership and, if necessary, the proper legal authorities.
Maybe for the sake of time, we can
Keep moving.
Yeah. Basically, this is saying, like, if you ever need to contact a youth helper who is not a part of your family, like if you need to send a text, if they're running late, like don't just text them alone, right? Like obvious stuff, like text their parent along with them. We want to avoid any kind of like unsupervised interaction, not just with our children, but also with our youth helpers to help protect them.
And this is an encouragement to use the Planning Center app messaging whenever possible.
Yeah.
That is the preferred method of communication.
You can easily send out a message to the whole team. So it's public, you can all see it. Okay. Moving on from there into policy violations. We're going to summarize some of this, guys, as we go. So I do hope and trust you've been able to look over this. We will have time for questions, so if anything isn't covered, let me know. Just to broad strokes with this, this is in the event that you see something concerning, right? Something happens on the Sunday that you're serving, what do you do? There's two different categories. The first category is if you believe, you have reason to believe, so you don't have to have like rock solid evidence, but you have reason to believe that some significant kids policy has been violated that does not involve an allegation of sexual abuse, what do you do? So for example, this could be, let's say you have a volunteer and, they are maybe they're trying to be helpful and they like take the kid and like walk the kid to the sanctuary by themselves. So they leave line of sight, they just walk away. Like you don't have a reason to believe necessarily that anything nefarious happened. So what do you do in a situation like that? So first thing that you would do is you notify the supervisor or a QBC elder, pastor, immediately. And then the leadership team will temporarily suspend the volunteer until a more thorough investigation has been completed. And again, like as you hear me saying that, like that sounds kind of intense. And so this is just another reason why if you see anything concerning, like share that with us. You don't have to be totally certain that something awful happened, but if you see something concerning, just tell us, and then the leadership will decide. This is more to give you guys an idea of like what kind of internal processes we would follow. Does that make sense? So if there was something significant enough, but it's not an allegation of sexual abuse or something criminal, we would temporarily suspend that volunteer. We would review the security footage. We have lots of cameras back there. Thank you, Dustin Stortle, for that. We would have an interview with the volunteer. This would be not like an incriminating interview, like how dare you do that thing, but like, hey, help us to understand what happened. We would have a conversation with that volunteer before we would let them serve again. If necessary, if there was more that was needed in that investigation, we would have an interview with the child, the children, the parents, and then the leadership would determine, okay, was this malicious, was this not? The second category is very different, right? This is if you were to witness something that is very clearly something that is sexual abuse or something criminal, the process we would follow, understandably, is very different. So we would still suspend that volunteer. We're not making any kind of judgment of guilt at this point, but we are taking precautions to remove that volunteer so they can't serve any longer. We would be required to make a formal report. So in Washington State, pastors and ministry employees like Sarah are mandatory reporters. You guys as volunteers are not. You are able to make a report. We can't tell you not to make a report, but I just want you to know if you bring something like that to us, we are required by law to report that to the right authorities within, I think, 48 hours. Yeah, 48 hours. We would work with the law enforcement. If something were to be confirmed, obviously we would deal with that. We would work with the investigation. If there's any kind of criminal, charges that need to come, we would work with them. And if it was inconclusive, like we're not really sure what happened, we don't know for sure, the leadership team, we would pray through that and figure out what to do next. So I know that's really broad brushstrokes. And again, Lord willing, this will never have to happen, but we want to be prepared if it does. Okay, making a report, we're going to skip that section, guys. Again, this is just like background stuff. This is what we will do as leadership. If we need to make a report, it's just for your reference. And then we can move on to the check-in, check-out, Sarah. And feel free to summarize here too.
Yeah, so we went over some of this, but arriving 15 minutes prior, incredibly important. So 9 and then 10:15. Upon arrival, visual check should.
Any
Oh yeah, we've been.
any
taking
questions?
everything.
That was a lot. Any questions about those safety things that we just covered briefly? Going once, going twice. Okay.
All right, visual check, make sure everything is good and safe in the classrooms, no hazards, it didn't flood overnight for any particular reason. Check in with the iPad station, make sure everything is on and running smoothly. Again, we're working through the whole check-in gate situation, but making sure it's on, making sure the printer's working. I think all of you at some point have dealt with the printer when it's not working, so you know the drill. You get a tag still, and we have pens there to write the names. And then this is new, but we have the lanyards on the back of the gate for everyone to wear lanyards
So nice. I love the
while they're
lanyards.
serving.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a great question.
How often does this happen? How often does the printer not work? Is this like every week? Is this
Well, we changed the printer out a month ago? Have we had any problems since we switched to a different printer in the last month?
Christina?
Just today.
Just when you were serving?
And I'm not counting running out of paper, because that's technically
Yeah, that's good to
a
know.
side issue.
Today, literally today.
And once we figure out how to hardwire in power, maybe we can look at hardwiring.
Is it like a slow lag thing with iPad? Oh, that's just George.
There are now 2 iPads as well, so theoretically one should
Okay.
always work.
Keep letting us know if that happens.
Yeah.
There's probably things that we can do. Yeah. Yes, Tyson? Yeah, contingency plan.
Good plan.
That's good. Okay. We have the just youth helper instructions again right now. Our goal is we would love to have like a hospitality kids person where they're the ones who they're at the check-in station. They can welcome new families, explain the process. Like, here's what your kid is going to do in their class, But right now we are using youth helpers as a stopgap. I think we've been doing that for a couple of months now. But yeah, youth helper instructions, again, it's imperative, youth, for you guys to be there at the right time, 15 minutes before the service, and then until 15 minutes after the service starts. This is important, guys, okay? So for check-in, obviously people often will come late to the services, and so that means that we would like, if the ratios allow it, so this is all contingent, if the ratios allow it, we would love for a youth volunteer to stay behind the gate in order to welcome parents who are coming in late. We have that little bell there, but it's always great if you can have a smiling face that you're leaving your child with. So 15 minutes before if you're a youth helper, and then stay at the check-in gate 15 minutes after the service starts, again, assuming that the ratios are being kept by the adults in the room.
And obviously, we're still navigating the check-in and check-out process, but as members of Quinault, we really want to create an environment where you guys while you're checking in your kids, if you see a new family, that you would feel, that confidence to go up to them and help them navigate. Say you don't see anyone who's currently, on the volunteer rotation. If you see a new family and you're there checking in your own kid, please, please, please help and assist that new family with the check-in process, explaining to them, the situation. We don't need everything to rely solely on the shoulders of those who are on the schedule. I think as a church, we can, really take that upon each of us as members to, ideally, they would be even caught at the door and walked to the back and explained. But at any point, if you see a new family kind of looking around, please step in.
Yeah. Obviously, it's not very clear how to get back there. We're working on that too. Better signage. So, hey, your new family, like, let me show you where to check in your kids, walk with them. That'd be great.
I think we had been operating, yes, with new household, but it doesn't have to be the full info. Names of the parents, phone number, allergies, any other concerns. And then as they continue to come, we would update that to be more thorough to include birthdays, address, anything like that.
Yeah, but it would be great. And again, this kind of relies on us as leadership giving you guys more of like an instruction manual for how do you set up a new household. It's not always very intuitive, but it would be ideal if we have a volunteer who's like, hey, is this your first Sunday? You're new? Like, let me help you with the iPad, right? Like, step around the gate and like show them how to make it work. Like, here's how you set up a household, and we make sure that we have your phone number because we might have to text you if we need something for your kid. Make sure you put in the allergies. You can put your name here. So it would be awesome and ideal if we could have a volunteer, one of you guys, come alongside new families. Here's the iPad. Here's how you check in. Here's how you'll check out when you come back. That would be
And that was the goal with having 2 iPads in the event of a new family. One iPad is still, being used to facilitate normal check-in, and the other is being used to help a new family get checked in.
We're also hoping, we realize we put the 2 iPads next to
Too
each
close
other.
to
It's
it.
so tight. I feel like if you went up there next to somebody else, you would feel awkward. So we're going to be mounting them to the walls and separating them so we can have two true stations. It's not so buddy-buddy.
Yep.
Okay, anything else with checkout?
Check out, we talked about this, scan the tag.
Oh, yes, Angela. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
That's mostly on the parents. If you come across an item that's not labeled and you see it, on the front end, please let them know that they need to be labeled. Otherwise, no, we're not providing labels. Yeah, we've got pens, and then we can, I guess, put tape out as well to tape and like write on the tape and put it on. Or, I think like we could maybe have something at the check-in station that says, parents reminder to have your personal belongings labeled.
Would it, again, I'm not back there like you guys are. I'm wondering, as we're kind of thinking through this now, would it be more efficient and nicer for the parent if we did that as volunteers? Like, if, they hand you like a diaper bag and they got 2 kids that are being checked in. Is that kind of a lot to ask them to, like, hey, grab a piece of tape, you write, Sharpie? Would that be like a better thing to do, like once the kid gets back there?
Specifically like bottles. So like
Right.
if there's a baby bottle, the parent should have their kid's name on that baby bottle before showing up.
Ideally.
Ideally.
But probably a lot would not. I'm assuming. Kinsey? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the main issue with that, again, we've run into staffing. As a lot of you know, we've been pretty understaffed. And I think, if people want to commit to more than 2 Sundays or more than 1 Sunday a month, that would be.
Part of the kids?
Yeah, and we could look at putting that onto the hospitality team. As
Yeah.
well.
Say again?
Putting it as a hospitality.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of a kids.
So
ministry
all that
role.
to say, we don't have that right now, but we are working towards that.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's a really great goal.
Yep.
I can add it back.
Yeah. I think we stopped that because somebody told me it was annoying that it was printing so many extra labels. We can do that. Yeah. I guess, yeah. Yeah, we need to look into that. Yeah. Okay. I think
Yeah,
we
those printing too
we
might
probably
be-
just need to troubleshoot some of these things and think through the logistics. Do you have a question? Yeah. Right. Hmm. We'll just put them in the bathrooms. No. Wait. Yeah. We're working.
We're going to
We're working
start
through
with
that.
one mounted and one fluid, just to, mounted one is the one that, is always working as far as getting people checked in a traditional way, and then maybe keeping one fluid for the time being to help with new families.
And can we make sure that it is easily taken off the wall when we're doing it outside, so that if we do have someone in a wheelchair bringing their child, that we can still pop it off and hand it to them so that they can use it?
Yeah, I think that's the idea of one fluid.
Right.
Yeah.
We were hoping to. I think actually, when George installed that little floating shelf, he installed it at the ADA height, so somebody in a wheelchair could conceivably use it. But you're saying it would still be nice to have. Right. Well, it'd be lower. I mean, it'd be about the same height. Would be the goal. But I think there is wisdom though in like having a free iPad. Even if we're going to be having like volunteers on checkout, be able to look at that and verify the names match. I think that makes sense.
Well, in case of a fire, if we need to have access to all that information, I don't know if that means we're grabbing an iPad and taking out.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
No restricted contact information for anyone. If we're
Right.
outside and the kid needs an epi to use the playground,
Yeah.
we don't have our iPad to tell us that there's a kid that has these things, we're liable.
Right. Apple just owns us, man. Just stuck on those iPads. You're saying we do or we could? We could. We did. Yeah.
With allergies or such.
These are all great things, guys.
Yeah. It
Great
would have been
things to
easier
think
if
about.
we had a bigger building, but
So, okay, we're at time right now, 1:30. We have health, bathroom safety, correction, probably another 10 minutes. Again, if you need to go, if you have another commitment, you're welcome to leave now. But we are going to try to be as quick and concise as we can for the remaining sections. So if you need to leave, feel free. If you can hang out and bear with us a little bit longer, we'll finish up. Yes?
yes. If you see older kids trying to get to the playground, remind them they can't go through the hallway. They would need to exit the church through the front and enter through the side.
Like a sign, yeah. 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 Sorry, Rachel, are you saying kids who are checked in or just older kids after service? I see. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, yeah, and that probably just requires like talking with parents about that. Yeah, so just to harp on that real quick, guys, because we are trying to keep that back hallway now just for kids and volunteers who are serving that Sunday, if you have children who like run through that hallway and go out that door, please tell them not to. I'm going to keep that hallway isolated to just our kids. So they can exit through the Coram Deo crash bar that locks behind them, heads up. They can exit through the front door, but we are wanting to keep that kids' hallway just for kids and just for volunteers. The Coram Deo goes right out to the playground.
It locks behind them. So once they're out to the
It should-
playground, that's where
are you
they
saying- are you-
are.
You're saying that it's locked from the inside? They can't.
We're saying the door on the other side.
Yeah. You're saying yeah. So you're saying that they can't, like if they were to leave through the front door to get to the playground's locked.
But the Coram
Right.
Deo doors are an option. So if you keep going, like you're going to go to the bathroom, instead of hanging a right to go to the bathroom, there's another set of doors
Yeah.
at the end of the hallway.
It's not. It's confusing because sometimes we shut those to try to maintain the barrier between the school and the church. That's just going to require us communicating. But that is a way. It locks behind them because again, like as you guys are bringing out like 3 to 5s, like we want to make sure that that gate is locked. That some random person can't come off the street and like open the gate and have access. That they have to go through the front door, which we keep locked during the service. We have a safety team member who's out there. We want to make sure that the entrance to the church is one entrance, right? So if that gate is left unlocked, then that just creates some security concerns. Huh? No, yeah. So it's really just the Coram Deo lobby. If older kids want to get to the playground, they need to go through there, not the hallway.
Instead of hanging a left up the stairs to the discipleship class, there's another set of double doors that lead to the play area.
Yeah, so we need, better signage, communication to parents. Yeah, again, if this wasn't already clear, this is a work in progress. We want to do what we can right now with what we have. Okay, is this the next part me, I think?
Yeah.
Health, bathroom, safety, correction. Children's health, this is going to be kind of copy and paste from the last policy. So if you're familiar with that, this will be, oh, thank you. So we cannot admit children who have obvious signs of being ill, such as, but not limited to, fever, cough, running. And by cough, I don't mean like a one-off, right? Like wheezing, like a sick cough, yeah. Runny nose, again, allergies happen, right? But if it's like yellow, if it's showing signs of infection, we don't really want to let kids come in who are sick like that. Diarrhea, vomiting, pink eye, rash, open sores.
No open
Anything like that. If a child is being treated with an antibiotic, she or he may enter the nursery. So if they had like strep throat, right? And they still have some symptoms, but they've been on antibiotics for 24 hours, they're not contagious, that's okay.
Something that's not in here that we added since sending it is that we do not administer medication. If a parent has a request of like, hey, my kid's antibiotic needs to be administered at 11, they need to come and do that themselves. Obviously, some exceptions made for emergency situations, but generally, if it's like it's fine, just give them an ibuprofen, don't do that. The parent can come get their kid and give them any scheduled medications.
Okay. We'll do a couple more sections here and I'll stop for questions. Snacks. A snack is served during the preschool session. In the infant room, no food may be offered to the children unless provided by the parents. In the toddler and preschool rooms, graham crackers are provided. If a parent wants to feed a specific snack to their child, they must personally come and take their child out in the hallway to feed them. One other thing that's coming to mind, guys, I've been thinking about, I think it would be great in that check-in station to have like a parent-facing policy that we could give them, where it just explains like what happens in the classrooms, like what are we doing to keep your kids safe, and then little stuff like that. Like if you need to offer them a snack, if they're on medication, if they're sick, I think it would be really helpful to have like a highly condensed version of this to give to new parents and families to be like, hey, here's how this works, here's what we're doing to keep your kids safe. I think that would be helpful. So we're not having to like explain all of this to people all the time.
And some people brought up concern about cross-contamination with snacks. If the child is allergic to graham crackers to the point where they can't be in the same room, they should not be admitted to the classroom. Like if the kid needs a special snack due to a gluten allergy, we can't control the crumbs that are in the classroom. So make sure that the parent is aware. If the kid has a severe gluten allergy, it would be best if they remain with the parent.
Yes, Matthew? Nothing? You're... No, will not flush the television down the toilet. Yes? That's a good question.
Ideally, yeah, but as we know, it smears and... Yes. The goal is to keep snacks at the table, absolutely. Yeah. Sure. Sure.
Cool. Nuts are not allowed in the classroom under any circumstances. If preschool workers bring personal snacks that contain nuts, please eat them before coming in the classroom. All right. Infant feeding, we need to make sure that each child's bottle is labeled. Again, we're thinking through the best way to do that. We will, at the very least, guys, we will have, before next Sunday, some pieces of tape and a marker that a parent or a volunteer could use to write and label.
Also, when in doubt, when it comes to medication, allergies, bathroom, if for any reason there's like hesitancy or uncomfortableness, please contact the parent. That is the safest option and the easiest option in many cases, instead of trying to make, a decision that you're not sure about. If needed, reach out to the parent and say, hey, this is my best course of action. If you'd prefer to come back and resolve it, that would be disciplines included in this. There's no reason that a parent is unable to be brought back.
Yep. Okay. Moving on quickly to diaper changes and toileting. So this is a section that we beefed up a lot. We just didn't have much before. For diaper changes, this is for infants and toddlers who are not potty trained. Only adult female volunteers may assist infants and toddlers with diapering, check each child's diaper once each session, changing diapers that are wet or soiled, record each diaper change. Are we doing this?
No, we don't do record. We do ask that you notify the parent that, they've had a diaper change.
Okay. If there are diapering concerns, such as a rash, please notify the parents. I don't think we even have like a cream. We don't apply that. Just change the diaper. Okay, follow the steps. You can see there, gloves, necessary supplies. Talk with the child. Hey, buddy, I'm gonna change your diaper. Place the child on the changing table. Never turn away from a child on a changing table. Remove the diaper, throw the diaper away. Put a clean diaper on the child. Remove the child from the changing table. Put him in a safe place. Spray, wipe down the table, remove gloves, wash hands.
And again, this is not a convince the child situation. Like, if I've had instances where they're getting closer to 2, they're potty training, they're like, no, I don't want you to change my diaper. Obviously, you can't leave them in a poopy diaper. Contact the parent. Don't be like, this is what's happening. Just let it go and contact the parent to come deal with their poopy child.
Nice. If I was back there, I think I would just do that all the time. Like, oh, they don't want to comply. Sorry, well, I can't change it anyway. I'm not a female. Oh, anyway, great.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, moving on from there, toileting toddlers, and I'm going to pause for questions. We request that toddlers who are being toilet trained always be brought to the nursery in diapers or disposable training pants. We encourage children to wear underwear to a church once they no longer experience accidents during the day. 2 volunteers must be present during restroom usage, 1 in the bathroom, only females, only adults, female adults, and then 1 in the hallway. So in that scenario, and by the way, if we didn't mention this before, maybe you're already doing this, it's always great to ask the parent as they're checking in the kid, like, hey, did they go to the bathroom? Like, if they're not in diapers, like, hey, do they need to go? Now's a good time. We're going to have bathroom time, but maybe that can avoid the issue. But if they do need to go to the bathroom, only adult female volunteers should assist toddlers into the restroom. If you are one of those adult female volunteers, leave the stall door open while a child is using a toilet. If no other adults are present in the restroom, also prop the hall door open while in the restroom. I think the hall door is always propped open. Okay. Assist the toddler with thorough hand washing and then wash your hands before returning to the classroom. This is for toddlers. And again, guys, I realize there's going to be some contingency questions here. So let me just get through these and then I'll give you a chance. For preschoolers, again, only adult female volunteers. These are 3 to 5-year-olds. In order to maintain the 2 volunteer ratio, did I skip ahead?
I'm just looking at
yes. The entire preschool classroom should go to the restroom. So this is specifically during the 10:30 service, the 3 to 5s class, right? To maintain the ratios, we can't have 2 volunteers leave the room to make the bathroom thing happen. So if you've been serving back there, you bring all the kids back at the same time. And while you're doing that, the whole classroom should go back. Any child who does not have to use the restroom or who has finished should wait in the hallway with the second volunteer. So that second volunteer could be, the other adult, or it could be a youth helper as well. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So only female volunteers, adults, can go into the classroom, but then we can have, bathroom. Okay. Encourage the preschoolers to wipe themselves if possible. This was one that we got a couple questions on. You know, again, this is one of those rules where like it would be great if we as volunteers don't have to wipe bottoms, right? Like unnecessary physical contact, let's avoid that. But if you are one of those female adult volunteers and you have a 3-year-old who can go number 2, but they can't wipe themselves, you are allowed to help them. Again, providing that all of the other safety policies in here are in place. Does that make sense? If they can wipe themselves, great, have them do that.
And encourage them to try to, give it a go before you step in. Don't initiate the wiping.
Yeah. In our house, we always say wipe until it's white. You could try that. Although we've clogged our toilets a couple times. Okay. If the child expresses any discomfort or distress, please notify a parent to come assist. If 2 volunteers are not available to be present, this is where the 915 room kicks in. Please notify the parent. So in the 915 room, right now, if you have a child who's not in a diaper, they need to go potty, you can't maintain ratios and take the child on your own, right? So if you're serving the 915, you need to let the parent know. The parent needs to be the one to come and take the child from the classroom, have them go potty, and then the parent can bring them back. We don't have a lot of children and families that come to the 915 right now, which is why we don't have it staffed quite as heavily, where we can do the whole, bring the classroom out thing. So if you're serving a 915, a family comes and they have a kid who is not in diapers, it'd just be good to ask them, hey, did he go to the bathroom? Did she go to the bathroom? If they need to, we'll let you know so you can come and get them. Does that make sense? Okay. The next section here is easy, 5 and up toileting. Due to their age, older children, like QBC Kids, do not require adult supervision in the bathroom. If a child needs to use the restroom during classroom hours, the child may go to the restroom on his or her own with one adult keeping track from the hallway. If the child is in a situation where they require assistance, please notify the parents.
And something we're working on, this will probably be maybe a few months to a few years in the making, but we are working on getting a child's bathroom set up in the back behind the gate, in the QBC Kids / preschool room, like a little tiny children's potty. So hopefully it will eliminate a lot of the leaving the child check-in area for bathrooms. And obviously once that's up and running, we'll rewrite some of this.
Okay, any questions about toileting? Lots of questions, yeah.
Send the youth floater or use the walkie-talkie for the security team to go find them.
It says in the bullet to leave the stall door open.
Mm-hmm.
How?
So for the small stall, you just use your body to keep the...
Yeah, multiple. I've been in the bathroom with 4 kids. Every stall is full.
Leave the stall door open if you are in there with the child. If the child is on their own, they can close the door. Yeah. Just don't, as an adult, don't walk into the stall, close the door behind you.
Do we have, like, the things that they have for the door that you can use to do that? Because
Yes.
if the little kid runs into that handicap one, that door is giant, and then you gotta open it,
Yes.
any bystander that walks by can see that child if they're naked.
I think that would be, and we can add this, maybe a hook situation for the handicap bathroom stall door so that we can keep it open if there's an adult in there. And then if you're the teacher or helper in the hallway, maybe notifying any adults who walk up to use the bathroom, hey, can you wait 5 minutes? We've got our class using the bathroom. And we can add that in there as well. Just, yeah. Any other?
And again, guys, we recognize we have one bathroom pretty much in our whole church. It's not super convenient. It's not super efficient. So we are just trying to find rules that seem reasonable and reasonably safe for our kids. So thank you. We recognize there's lots of situations and things where it's not always easy, but.
I don't think you physically can be. Yeah. This is definitely more of a stopgap, best case, best practice given the limitations of our current setup.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That would be great.
The line of sight is even, I feel like, even more important than like in the classroom because they're in the bathroom. So it's a protection for the.
And there are no cameras in the bathroom.
Do you want, is that the solution?
Yes.
So I was in pre-class this morning and we did take the whole class and we had a youth helper as well. So that was great because I think she was in the hall and both of the teachers were in the bathroom. But I mean even still you got kids popping in and out and you're helping them and like it's chaotic.
Yeah, totally understand. Like, it'd be great if we had 100 more volunteers. It'd be great if we had that little like bathroom that we're hoping to install in a few months. So we see those things. Those are important. We're working on those things. But for right now, this seems like the best. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yep.
And again, this is where the, safety team can come in as a floater, of like an extra person in the hallway hanging out with kids if you need.
Not the bathroom.
Not in the bathroom, in the hallway, monitoring, because some of them are runners, so you want to make sure that no one's taken off, and yeah, that's happened to me. But the kids are runners. The safety team,
Yeah.
not yet.
All right, guys, we are almost near the end. Thank you so much for your patience. Correction and discipline. It's QBC's policy that staff members and volunteers are prohibited from using any physical discipline in any manner for behavioral management of children. No form of physical discipline is acceptable. That includes, obviously, spanking, slapping, pinching, hitting, or any other physical force as retaliation or correction for inappropriate behavior of children. When a child is misbehaving, here are some general principles. We recognize this doesn't address every possible situation. We just can't. But here's just general principles. So go to the child, calmly ask them to stop the behavior, give a warning, remind them of the expectations, redirect. If the child repeats the action, guide him or her to a quiet space, separate from the other children. For a short time, stay within sight of others, of course. Don't be alone. Provide the child with a simple, understandable reason for why you are separating them. And then after the third time, call the parent, come get your kid. This is too much. Any uncontrollable or unusual behavior should be reported to the QBC Kids director, or if they're not present, an elder. Never, of course, yell, grab, threaten, hit, or a child, or confront a parent in front of others. I hope that hasn't happened. Openly humiliate a child in front of the class. And that isn't just like, hey, man, you stink. Like, this is also referring to like, man, well, Billy, like, class, I would love to be able to tell you this story, but, little Billy over here just isn't paying attention. Doesn't that stink, right? Like, even things like that are kind of manipulative, anything that would embarrass a child like that, obviously don't do that. Okay. And then I think we're just to our last section.
Yeah. After service cleanup. So this is also something that's shifted a little bit. We do now have a maintenance person who comes in on Saturdays to take out the trash and vacuum. The hand vacuum is still available if a kid really just ground some graham cracker into the floor and you have the time to vacuum it up. That would be great. But we do have someone every week taking out the trash and vacuuming. We do ask, the laundry hamper is coming. That'll go right next to the changing table. But if you use any cloth items, throw them in the hamper. Anything that's been drooled upon or placed in a mouth, put in the plastic container, the one that says toys to wash, and then wash them at the end. And then any furniture, toys, we have the disinfectant spray. Just give that a good spray around. I also come in midweek and try to spray/wipe anything that looks particularly sticky. And then return any leftover snacks to the snack cupboard, which is now labeled. You'll also notice the cupboards have child-safe locks. If you are confused by those, let me know and I'll show you how to open them. It took me a couple minutes to figure out what was going on. That's just me probably. And then wash any plastic cups. We did have some notes about the 915 kids also wanting waters. We're looking at getting a separate set of cups, maybe in a different color for the 915 kids, and then those would all go in the sink. And then the 1030 kids would get the normal blue and green. And then scan the trash for any personal items. That's a big one. A lot of the times coffees, bulletins, things kind of get left in the kids' room. So if you could try to get all your personal trash or items out, that would be a major help. And then it does say take supplies to the supply cabinet. That's if possible. It's full of various items currently, so it's not incredibly accessible. But general concept, try to maintain order and clean up before you leave.
Okay. Guys, again, thank you for taking the time. I recognize this is a lot of data to dump on you. Hopefully you looked at it ahead of time, but there's a lot here. And so we're really thankful. We recognize you guys are volunteers, right? Like, you're showing up on Sunday, you're giving of your time, you're missing service sometimes. Like, it takes a lot to serve back here, and we're really thankful for your heart for our kids. We want our kids to be safe. That's important. But we don't want to forget, of course, like, the mission of what we're doing. We have the highest concentration of unbelievers in our church, in our kids' rooms, every Sunday. We have awesome opportunities to share with them about the hope that they can have in Christ and help them to see their sin and understand the Bible and who Jesus is for them. And so amidst all of this, I just don't want us to lose that mission and that vision of why we're doing this. You're not just a warm body in a room keeping a kid safe. Like, you are an agent that the Lord wants to use in order to make a difference and plant seeds in these little hearts. So thank you. If we haven't said that enough to you, thank you for serving. Thank you for all that you do. We're so grateful. We can end it here. I do just want to give one more chance for questions on this, or you can even come up to us afterwards and ask, or email. We have a couple of you that sent a good number of questions that we'll follow up with
You
that
should
are
have
more
gotten
specific.
an email. If you sent in questions, you should have
Oh,
gotten
great.
one
Thank you.
yesterday.
Cool.
Yeah. And I will say, tightening up is always, a longer part of the process, but hopefully at our next training, sometime in the fall, we'll get into a lot more of the vision and maybe more, exciting, fun parts of this job as far as communicating between teachers and what we do to equip parents. But as we shift the mindset and the culture, this is the sometimes mind-numbing steps.
Yeah. We want to lay a good foundation. That's the goal. Okay. If there's no other questions, I'll pray. We'll be here for a few minutes. Feel free to ask. But again, thank you. All right, I'll pray. Lord, we love you, and we are so honored at the responsibility and opportunity that you give us every Sunday to help shepherd these precious souls. So help us as we do that to be safe and responsible and conscientious in all the ways that we can be. Help us to show grace to one another as we serve alongside other volunteers. And most of all, we pray that these children would have a safe environment where they can learn about the gospel and about their need for Christ and their sin and who you are for them through Jesus, your Son. So give us fresh strength and fresh joy as we go out and serve. Bless our church. Keep our church safe. Thank you for how you have done that so far. Let that continue. In Jesus' name, amen. All right. Thank you, guys. Thanks for your time. If you are free for like 2 minutes to put back a table, that'd be great. If you can't, it's okay. Thanks.